Okay, we are going to move on now to our Financial 15 segment. So this is our Financial 15 segment. This is at the end of our weekly webinar. So if you want to go back and watch our weekly webinar, you can go to our website and watch that. You can find it at utterborewealth.com. That's utterborewealth.com, or on our YouTube channel. And if you haven't already, you can hit the subscribe, like, and notification buttons to make sure that you never miss a video. So this topic today has to do with an error that a CPA made for a client that really caused a lot of concern for this client. And I'm bringing it up because it happens often, unfortunately. So there was this error made by this CPA, and it causes a concern for a client. And the reason I'm bringing it to you is because, like I said, it happens way too often. So let me set it up for you. So it's Friday, just past Friday afternoon. Long week, a lot of hours put in last week as what's norm, and I was looking forward to the end of the day. My wife and I were planning on going out and having a little dinner, a little happy hour drink, and I don't know what I was waiting for, but we're still at home, and I saw an email on my cell phone that came in from a client saying, what do I do about my Roth contributions? See the email below from my accountant. And the accountant's email said, you did an excess contribution to your Roth IRA. You made too much money. It has to be corrected. There's potential penalties. You've got to correct it by April 15th. So the client is asking us, well, wait a minute. I do these contributions every month. We've already made contributions for this year. Do we have to undo all of these? And there are corrections if you have an excess contribution situation. But I'm reading this and I'm thinking, oh, well, I think I know what's going on. I think this CPA is calculating the modified adjusted gross income calculation incorrectly. And I know that the client is concerned. I know this client, and I know that the client, this is going to bother her for the weekend. And I don't want that on this erroneous information, but I just want to make sure that that what I'm thinking is correct. And thankfully, the email included the client's tax return. So I said to my wife, I said, can I just have a few minutes? I want to look at something. So I went back into my home office and I opened up the email. It's password protected, so I had to go through the work to open up the tax return. And as I scanned the tax return, I immediately saw the issue. And I had to look at some of our notes, our notes from our firm about the Roth conversion that we did for this client, and it was all about the Roth conversion. And that took a little bit of time just to shore up the numbers because I wanted to be able to make sure that I was giving good information to the client. So I set my mind right and comfortable that it was in fact an error by the accountant. And I came back out and I said, okay, to my wife, I said, okay, let's go. I just want to make a phone call on the way. And I called my client and I was able to reach her. And I said, listen, I don't want you to worry about it. I think the accountant is incorrect. I'm going to spend some time on this. Later in the weekend, I'll get something out to everybody, including the accountant, by the end of the weekend. So Sunday night, I sat down and I went through and I sent an email clarifying it. And thankfully, the accountant wrote back and said, in a short period of time, you're absolutely right. I calculated it wrong. So let me explain what was wrong. So let's talk about modified adjusted gross income. Well, let me start here. So we're talking about this section here, which is phase outs. So I'm just moving my keyboard out of the way so I can pull this whiteboard down. We're talking about these phase out limits for contributions. And here's where we're talking about 2023 because this is last year's. You can make Roth contributions up till the filing deadline for the previous year, right? But this client had been making Roth contributions throughout the year. So married filing joint, in this case, married client, and the phase outs are $218,000 of modified adjusted gross income. So I explained this during the weekly webinar section of this broadcast, but modified adjusted gross income, or the phase out, excuse me, the phase out. What that means is once you hit $218,000 in modified adjusted gross income, there's a formula and it starts chipping away at the amount that you can contribute to your Roth IRA. And then once you cross over $228,000 in modified adjusted gross income, then you can't contribute anything to a Roth IRA. So this accountant said, you contributed too much. You've got to make a correction to that. And if you don't, it's an excess contribution. There's penalties involved. So we had, like many of our clients, we're on a strategy of Roth conversions for this client. And we work really, if you're a client of ours, I think you'll agree that we work really hard to make sure that these are as tight as possible so we're not triggering issues. Like, no, we know that this person makes Roth contributions. And we know we don't want to create an issue that will affect that. Although you really can't in this case, and we'll see that. But but there could be tax credits, there could be other things, there could be IRMA costs. So we work really closely with these numbers and really diligently. So, like I said, I went through and looked at our notes, but let me back up. So these are modified adjusted gross income numbers. So it's important to know what modified adjusted gross income is. So this is a definition from Investopedia. This is a really great website if you just want to look up simple things like this. But what is modified adjusted gross income? Modified adjusted gross income is an individual's adjusted gross income, or AGI, after taking into account certain allowable deductions and tax penalties. Modified adjusted gross income is an important number to understand since it is used in several different tax concepts. One of the issues with modified adjusted gross income is that it's not listed anywhere on your tax return. You take your adjusted gross income and you add back in certain items, and the add back ins can be dependent on what you're adding it back in for. So there are some calculations to be done, and one of the things I said to this accountant on Sunday when I wrote back to him is, I broke it down and I said, are there significant additions to AGI to increase modified adjusted gross income? Because adjusted gross income and then additions back in get you to modified adjusted gross income. So I wrote, are there significant additions to adjusted gross income to increase modified adjusted gross income that I am not seeing that have made these folks ineligible for a Roth contribution? Of course, he wrote back and said, I got it wrong. Everything's okay. But it created some concern. So this definition goes on to say the Internal Revenue Service uses modified adjusted gross income to establish whether you qualify for certain tax benefits. MAGI, let's just call it MAGI, notably determines whether your income does not exceed the level that qualifies you to contribute to a Roth individual retirement account. That's what he's talking about here. Whether you can deduct your traditional IRA contributions if you or your spouse have retirement plans, such as 401ks at work. Whether you're eligible for the premium tax credit, which lowers your health insurance costs if you buy a plan through a state or federal health insurance marketplace. And a big one here that is not listed in here is IRMA. That is your income-related monthly adjustment amount after you start receiving Medicare benefits. And I have a video about IRMA. So I'm going to link that video in our description. I'm just writing that down so we don't miss it. But that is what modified adjusted gross income is. So again, these numbers I shared with you down here, these phase outs are based on modified adjusted gross income. So this person was showing on their tax return an adjusted gross income. That is line 11 on their tax return for 2023 of $236,922. So on the surface, you might say, well, Mark, this accountant is absolutely right. These people made too much money by the IRS's definition to contribute to a Roth IRA. On the surface, that's correct. The issue is that Roth conversions are excluded from the modified adjusted gross income calculations for Roth contributions. Now, I know that's complicated, and I know that is it may not make sense for you. It makes sense to me, but the issue is that not enough CPAs know about this or pick up on it, and this one didn't. So I went back through and I did a calculation because I knew they had a required minimum distribution from an inherited IRA. That would apply to the modified adjusted gross income. And then I saw exactly the conversion amount that we did for them in 2023. That doesn't apply for modified adjusted gross income. So I give credit to the CPA because at least he stood up and he said, and it was fast on a Sunday. Actually, it was a Sunday morning, not a Sunday evening, but it was on a Sunday morning. He wrote back. I was shocked within probably a half an hour saying, you know what, I got it wrong. A year ago, I was having a conversation with somebody, and this CPA doubled down, and he said something like, because I had somebody write into me and say, my CPA is telling me that I can't make a Roth contribution because with my Roth conversion, it takes my modified adjusted gross income up too much. And I said, there's an exclusion for that. Tell the CPA there's an exclusion for that. And the CPA doubled down. It came back something like, there's nothing I can point to in the tax code that shows that there's an exclusion for Roth conversions in the calculation of modified adjusted gross income for Roth contributions. Well, what you can point to is publication 59A in the IRS code. And there's a worksheet that is used to determine modified adjusted gross income for Roth IRA purposes, worksheet 2.21. So you'll see that you add in section 1 here. Let me make this a little larger for us. Add first your adjusted gross income from your 1040. Enter any income resulting from the conversion of an IRA, other than a Roth IRA, to a Roth IRA, and a rollover from a qualified retirement plan. So you put in your adjusted gross income, and then you put in your conversion amount. Now, line number 3 is really important. Subtract line 2 from line 1. Subtract it. It gets removed out of it. So you add up everything here, then that gets you to line 11. And if it exceeds these numbers here and that I shared with you before, then you can't contribute to a Roth IRA. But in the case of these folks, it did not exceed it. In fact, they could do a full contribution for both of them. They're absent the conversion, the entire modified adjusted gross income or adjusted gross income was just about $190,000. So there was plenty of room still for that modified adjusted gross income calculation if we took out correctly the conversions. So the reason I bring this to you is that it's really important who you're working with, and you got to make sure that they understand what you're trying to achieve. I'm sure that this person is a very, very good CPA. You know, I've been not working with him, but talking to him regarding this client for years. I think he's probably very, very good at what he does. But and I give him credit for stepping up and saying, you know what, I got it wrong. Everybody can make a mistake. When I talked to the client about it, we had some discussions about it. I said, listen, as long as he's coachable about these things, it's fine. I spend time every year coaching CPAs about these issues, and I'm fine to do that as long as they're coachable. When you have CPAs like the one last year who just doubled down and said, I can't point to anything in the tax code that allows for an exclusion of a Roth conversion for calculation of modified adjusted gross income for Roth contribution, well, it's time for a new CPA because we can point to it. Listen, it's not uncommon. I had a conversation with a CPA, and I'm not putting down CPAs here. But I had a conversation with a CPA a few weeks ago who told me about this intriguing conversation he had with a colleague about whether someone had to take RMDs from a inherited IRA or not. Well, you folks who have been listening to this on a regular basis know that the rules are very clear about who has to take RMDs from inherited IRAs and who doesn't during that 10-year period. That is the rule now. So, you know, it's these areas that we work on: tax efficient planning, Roth conversions, distributions from IRAs. distributions from inherited IRAs. All of the things that we focus on are very, very specialized. And if you get what you think may be questionable or bad advice, question it. Hopefully the education that we offer through these webinars, through talking about things like this, through sharing experiences that we run into, help you build up kind of that knowledge base so that you can question it. I'm not expecting you to be able to do this yourself. Some of you might be able to. I'll tell you that it is not uncommon that people attend classes, attend webinars. This just happened again last week, and they said, we've been listening to you for several years. We tried to do this ourselves. It's just overwhelming. Maybe you get an IRS letter, or you trigger something that you didn't expect to trigger, or you think you can't make a Roth contribution because of a Roth conversion amounts, things like that. So just let an expert help you, but make sure that they're the right expert, or at least they know where to go to get the guidance, or at least they're coachable. But I hope that was helpful. I hope this Financial 15 segment was helpful. If you've been on here since the beginning with the weekly webinar, I hope you enjoyed that as well. And I look forward to seeing you all next week. Have a great week and take care.